Okay, Tuesday, September 27th. This is a pre-open SPY video. We have about a little over an hour to go before the open. You can see here we are starting up today a little bit pre-market. Here's the pre-market range. Here's yesterday's red bar. If we go to the 15-minute chart and zoom it out, what you see developing here after a big down move is clearly some choppiness at the moment, going sideways. So does that mean that right out of the gates, if we're up here near the top of the range, I'm ready to sell it? For me, no, not today. In other words, I really want to see it go below the midpoint of the prior bar, which is the low of this range, before I get comfortable going short today. If we have a big up, in other words, what can happen here, if it's going to, let's say it's going to be a sell-off right at the open, even though it's a strong up opening, you could probe this area one time. You can see a big gap in here, by the way. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. If we do head up, there's a lot of in between the low of that bar and the high of this bar, which is really this whole inside bar all the way up to this yellow line. It's kind of a big gap that price can move up to before it rolls over. It's also possible if we get a green start to the day and head up, we're going to monitor this yellow line, which is kind of the midpoint of this prior week. We already took out the low of the week yesterday. So if we have a strong opening that continues today and we move above and just everything stays really strong and hits the midpoint of this week, then all of a sudden it could be a 2-down failure on the week that reverses, possibly up to the upside of or projects up there. I still think we have the downside target of this monthly bar in place, so I'm expecting a little bit, a pause at some point and a start back down. I just don't necessarily see it happening today in a clear kind of way. Let's put it that way. If we get a big, an opening here that immediately rejects and comes strongly down to those lows, I would give it a shot that we're going to get a 2-up failure on the day and head down. But I don't really see that type of opening developing. So it's almost as if I anticipate some kind of up move today. We'll watch the opening price, and then might go up most of the day, and then who knows, maybe by the end of the day a big sell-off, and then we'll see tomorrow if we kind of start wherever this day ends up. If we start below the midpoint of tomorrow and head lower, in line with my expectations to take out this low eventually, but you never know. In other words, so there's a big range here. We definitely have a whole gap up here we can start moving up to. So the only way I'm going to get short today, the way I see it, is if somehow, in the next hour we come down to the bottom here and then start red right below the midpoint of the prior day. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll probably start up and take out these highs. Even if it gets rejected, I'm still going to kind of watch it a little bit and make sure. In other words, I'd want to see it come down here, pause, not really get above the midpoint of whatever that first move down is, and then maybe start lower. That would get me short, but I'm not going to immediately get short right here at the top of this range at the moment, should it look like it's failing, given that we're still above the midpoint of the prior day. And I'd want to have a little more confirmation that we're breaking down to the bottom of that range. So that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. I'm actually biased to the upside. I think we could have a day of rally today, but it wouldn't be surprised me in some crazy way if the rally goes up, pauses, and either holds up here and then gaps down tomorrow, or sells off strong at the end of the day for some crazy reason. And that could lead us more, to if we get that type of day, then tomorrow I feel real comfortable, getting short in an aggressive way. And it is possible that we start up and and if we hit the yellow line here, we could be getting some kind of reversal this week that can just surprise people. We could get one of those moments here where you get those big, successive daily bars to the upside. So I'm going to watch for that. I'm biased a little up today just for a day trading thing, even though I still think this lower yellow line's a target. But if we can get some kind of clear rejection in this area, then it's going to be a good opportunity to eventually get short. But today I just don't sense it, but let's see what happens, and keep these lines in mind. It really has to break below this bottom, blue line for me to get bearish, either right out of the gates, which I don't see, or some kind of rejection here up top that, not the first move down, but then I would want to see it fail a second move up. Then I'd maybe get short if it's just going to be a big trading range that's eventually heading lower today.